It's compact, supports TTL, and it's a transmitter for 3 flash groups. I've waited over a month for this. But the Godox IT30 for Fuji is finally on Amazon. There are plenty of reviews and complaints online. But today, I'll share practical tips for Fuji users. Stuff you won't find in the manual. Let's talk design. The IT30 is compact, lightweight, and features a full metal body. On the left, there's a 2.5mm sync port, and a USB-C port for fast charging and firmware updates. The back has a full-color touchscreen, 2 physical buttons, a power switch, and a 2-in-1 test flash button. Unlike the Sony version, the Fuji model moves the locking pin to the right side, with the diffuser switch. This pin lock is much smoother than a traditional screw lock. And the top control dial lets you adjust power levels physically. Now, about the biggest complaint, the lens blocking the flash. This is common with mini on-camera flashes. But for the IT30, there's an easy fix. You can buy a TTL hot shoe riser to elevate the flash. Fuji users, make sure you get the Canon version. Its contact pins are compatible with Fuji's layout. I tested it, and all functions, including TTL, work perfectly. Compatibility is great. I tested 3 different lenses to see how much the riser helps. With the Sigma 10 to 18mm, no riser, no hood, the shadow disappears at 16mm. With the lens hood on, it blocks the light at all focal lengths. With the riser and no hood, it's clear by 12mm. Add the hood, and you need to be at 15mm. The Viltrox 27mm f1.2 is better. Without the riser, only the hood causes a shadow. With the riser, it's clear with or without the hood. But with an adapted Sigma 18 to 35 and no riser, it's blocked across the entire zoom range, even without the hood. With the riser and no hood, it's only blocked at 18mm. But add the hood, and even with the riser, you need to be at 35mm to be clear. If the riser isn't enough, or if you need to bounce the flash, I recommend getting a Canon mount TTL off-camera cord. Important note, you still need the hot shoe riser to connect the cord properly, and don't fully tighten the lock where it connects to the riser. A loose connection is needed, or it won't fire. So this hot shoe riser is pretty much a must-have accessory. With the cord, you can bounce the flash, use it off-camera, and completely solve the shadow problem. If that seems like too much hassle, you can wait for Godox's upcoming TR riser. To power on, long press the power button. There's a slide to unlock feature to prevent accidental touches. Before I start shooting, I make a few basic adjustments. First, I swipe down and enable the TCM function. This converts your TTL power reading to a manual setting when you switch modes. It's great for making quick, fine adjustments. I also set the screen standby to 1 minute to save power. The power button also blinks during standby to remind you it's on. With those settings done, you're ready to shoot. You can adjust power by swiping the screen, tapping the icons, or using the top dial. In TTL mode, the screen shows the effective flash range, helping you stay within the right distance. Here's a tip for more accurate TTL exposure. Switch your camera's metering to spot metering. Or, when shooting portraits, use IAF. These are more accurate than multi-zone metering for flash. On the Fuji version, you might see the HSS icon is grayed out. That's because you have to enable high-speed sync in your camera's menu first. Once you do, the icon on the flash will become active. But be aware, with HSS on, the minimum power in manual mode changes from 1/128 to 1/16. So, I suggest keeping HSS off unless you really need it. Next, let's talk about the wide-angle diffuser. When you slide the lever to W, an icon appears on screen. Its purpose isn't really to soften light, but to create a wider light spread. As a transmitter, the IT30 also performs great. It can control up to 3 groups of flashes simultaneously. But the manual doesn't really explain how to set this up. So here's a quick guide. Set the IT30 to transmitter mode. Set the distance to 0-30 m. If it's too close, it might not trigger. Long press to activate groups A, B, or C. Match the channel and ID on both the transmitter and your remote flashes. Set the remote flash to the corresponding group, A, B, or C. Hit sync, then the test button. If the remote flash fires, you're all set. In transmitter mode, you can long press the BEM button to switch the IT30's own flash on or off. This lets you use it as both a transmitter and an on-camera flash simultaneously. You can also do all this with the physical buttons and dial. What about its guide number of 15? Is it powerful enough for daylight? I don't think you need to worry. First, this GN is rated at a wide angle. Other flashes are often rated at telephoto settings. So at the same coverage, the power difference isn't as big as it seems. Also, effective guide number isn't a fixed value. By using ND filters and adjusting your exposure triangle, you can get similar results to a much more powerful flash. I won't get into the physics of it here. Overall, I think Godox positioned this flash perfectly. More powerful TTL flashes with transmitter functions aren't this portable. Smaller flashes aren't nearly as full-featured. It's the only mini flash with TTL, a built-in transmitter, and access to the Godox ecosystem. And that's all for this video. If you have any questions or your own tips, share them in the comments below.